Hello, my fellow brothers. I It's not fully scripted. It's actually not really scripted. It's more of an idea that I'm sharing. I hope that you'll be able to relate. I had a very strange year last year. I thought I was going to be relocating to a place that would be more in line with my long-term goals of having a garden, having some land, being able to even have some livestock, chickens, maybe a pig, even a cow, maybe. And that didn't happen. I was relying on somebody else to be responsible and responsive and adult, and that didn't happen. And so I had some hard lessons I had to learn about, making plans and putting the cart before the horse in a way, which I have a much better understanding now of the limitations of different people's abilities based on, past history. Don't ignore someone's history. So I've had to revisit my life and my situation, and I'm in a place which I think probably many of us can relate to, especially as men going their own way, that we have a depth of knowledge. At least we know what we don't want, and we hopefully know what we do want. At least we're getting a sense of what we do want. And then where do we go from there? And sometimes it's desirable to have the ability to make a physical change, but that's not always possible, or at least it's not always possible if it means leaving a place. And I've mentioned in previous videos the book that I highly recommend, Is Your Genius at Work, which I trust that some of you have gone through and used and are using, because it's really helped me understand myself, and I've done that multiple times, gone through the book. So this topic is more focused on the image you see, the kind of what this represents to me, the sense of finding a muse. I'm working on a project, or at least a way of expressing my art into the world, my craft and art, to please feel free to speed up the the recording speed or the playback speed, or thank you for your indulgence as you listen to me work my process out. Honestly, I've wanted to be able to even talk to a woman, to even in an intellectual sense, even at more of a spiritual level, not seeking a girlfriend, just seeking that rare Nawalt in a way, who is actually intelligent, who can inspire me, who can, in a way, I could say, give me hope for humanity, as naive as we know that to be in some way, as I know it to be in some ways, to put my trust or belief in or faith in someone else. And a part of me feels like, does the world deserve what I can fucking give it? Or am I better off just keeping it to myself more? Which neither answer feels correct. Yeah, no, the world doesn't deserve it. The world doesn't deserve anything from us that we're not willing to give lovingly and freely. So I guess the answer is no, it doesn't. And then there's still a part of me that's like, well, I'm not expressing part of my energy that I feel that I can and need to, that gives me deep satisfaction. Like when I know I'm impacting a customer with what I do, with whether it's the knowledge that I share, or whether it's a product that I'm making for them, or the advice I give them, then I know I've made an impact. And then I think, being a problem solver, how do I make a bigger impact? How can I make a bigger, deeper impact? Because I know this is important. Just like anyone who's written a book or made a movie or created art or music, and all of the wonderful men that we are inspired by, it's largely men. There are women who can inspire us. I love Nina Simone's rendition of Love Me or Leave Me. she's one of my favorite singers, and I discovered her much later in life, and just so much passion and fucking, you can just feel the truth in what she sings. Laura Branigan, from the 80s, I love her voice. I mean, it doesn't matter where someone comes from, as long as they're really like an artist, if they have the soul of there's something in their soul coming out. And when it comes to building and creating in the world and putting ideas forth, this is the realm that men predominantly inhabit, because it's how we express ourselves. It's how we do create. So I've felt this image, this video, this what you see on your screen right now, and the lure of this, and I've been fighting with myself. I've met a couple people, couple women through various means, and was able to have some good connections initially, in a fully aware sense of being careful to not, slip up and cause problems for myself as much as possible. And I was disappointed. I should say if the expectation that I had, or the desire that I had to make something a longer lasting connection, or maybe a deeper, not even just about sex, really not wanting it to be focused on that at all, to be about mutual inspiration, that idealism that I felt was let down. And then I recommitted myself in a way to finding more men to connect with. And so then it's more, bros before hoes. And credit to whoever this person is, that boy Sammy. And I don't know any of the memes around this. I'm not very tapped into current culture, but I searched for bros before hoes, and this is one of the ones that came up. And so a retro take on it. Well, this is another one with Mr. Office, forget his name, Steve Carell, which I guess he said, or somebody else said. And then actually I like this one too. So, brethren before wenches. So this is, and then it's finding like-minded, like-hearted brethren in the world that can be very challenging. And I bet many of you have had experiences where we know what we know about the world, about female nature, about life, about the universe, about things that we've gone deeply into, because as men going our own way, we have the time, we make the time to contemplate and reflect, and to really consider without the pressure of relationships and family. And well, if we have that, if we're able to be, so a man who's awakened while married, for example, who empathizes with us, and I've seen some amazing videos from some men, I don't remember the names right now, but it was one particular man that was just such potent, poignant, incredible perspective. And he's married. He's like, I get this now. I get why this is so important that men go their own way and protect themselves. So it's also can be a bit of a fool's errand if you do seek to be that knight, finding another knight, unless it's really an organic process. And you still always have to keep in mind that you never know if somebody might betray you, maybe not even intentionally. So it's interesting that if I'm just looking at the faces of these two knights, say, and I'm not even sure that they're fully looking at each other. It looks like they're both, in a way, looking at their own goal. Maybe the one on the left more so. Well, he's got a beard, so he must be more manly. But you can see that the one on the left, the one on the right, seems more grizzled. Maybe he's been through a bit more, and the one on the left is maybe looking for guidance, or there's also the whole juxtaposition of, our attention goes to images toward the right side. It's the marketing thing. It's how movies are made. So there's a sense of maybe more authority, more power, more determination, more energy coming from the right side, just in general. But it's an interesting, just as I'm looking at this and seeing what comes up for me, maybe the me on the left, the part of me that can relate to the page, say, on the left, versus the more grizzled knight, perhaps, if that's a way to characterize it. The part of me that says, I want to have a muse. I would love to have a woman that I could share this with. And even in my mind think I don't need to be having sex with her. Of course, that generally would happen, but it doesn't have to. But let's see what this is. Oh, here's a great image. The muse most of us really need. Write the fucking story. Yeah, it's not so easy to type and hold the gun to your own head, and literally, figuratively, it's not a healthy thing to do. So how do we motivate ourselves? Well, maybe here's an idea. Well, this is one way to look at it. Okay, here's somebody sculpted this woman, put her out near a beautiful, or whoever, it looks like it's probably a recreation, most likely. But that's a beautiful image. In a way, though, I'm kind of more drawn to the background and actually than to looking at her, and that's interesting. Like look at her a little bit. Is it a her or a him? Maybe it is a him, actually. I see genitalia, and it's a very interesting image. I guess it is a man. Well, then if it's a man, then they're contemplating maybe the fact that they're out in nature. So that's actually interesting. At first I thought this was a woman for whatever reason, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So where is your muse? Is your muse dependent upon a person, or is it more inspired by nature? I know that when I go to nature, whether it's woods or the water, or even just for a walk outside, which is kind of a combination of both, even if it's in the city, just being in contemplation, being in my own sphere, being in space, and letting the world move through me. There's a wonderful video by Peter Brown I would encourage you all to watch. It's titled Reincarnation, and Peter Brown's you can call him a spiritual teacher and a very interesting character. I've met with him once, and he actually has very, very evocative videos of his conversations. So I will put a link, or I'll put a card, I'd say, for that. So where are we finding our inspiration? And so here's an image, another one I came across of this. Well, so here we are. You know, this is a pretty fucking amazing muse when we appreciate the beauty of it. And I'll leave it here for a little bit as I share. So what I'm, in a way, asking for is for my brotherhood of the beautiful MGTOW men who are thoughtful, and we are thoughtful and caring, and are at whatever process, whatever part of the red pill cycle that we're at. And we can always go back to different parts depending on what we've experienced in our lives. I had a lot of rage last year. I had to work through. I'm still working through in a way. But I'm asking for you, gentlemen, if you're willing to contact me, if you want to. I guess this is not even that. I mean, if that feels correct, then I'll put my email in the description, the Proton mail address. I'm putting this out because my care for you, my love for you, my respect for you is what I want to be my true muse. And it's in a way that I'm deconditioning, seeking to decondition myself, trusting that I can decondition myself from the idea of the romantic, the feminine muse. Because god damn, that's such a fucking lure going back to teenage years. You know, it's biology, right? It's ingrained in our DNA, And to shift away from this can be a challenge. It has definitely been a challenge for me. And I'm very grateful for each of you who has been part of this journey to listen, to contribute your comments, to give your support. This channel is, I haven't made many videos. I made a few, and I do my best to make them impactful, and I tend to speak at length and fairly stream of consciousness, so and I also trust that process. I think there's just an organic way of being with ideas that when we are in a conversation with someone, we don't try to direct it in a particular way, because if we do, then there's definitely an agenda. And my main desire is to be inspired and to inspire, to be a source of inspiration, and to receive inspiration and motivation. But sometimes, I'm going to be honest, it's not so easy to feel like I really want to put my best into the world when it's not always clear that it's, what if it's just like this thing that I create so that others can benefit from. If I'm benefiting, if it's paying my rent, if a customer comes and finds me, then that's fantastic, and I welcome that. And the part of me wants to do a bit more, wants to share a bit more, and then I pull back, or I say, why do they fucking deserve it? So I know you gentlemen do. So when I think of you, when I think of what you can, how you could benefit from what I'm doing, whether or not you ever buy a product from me, but just from understanding some of the concepts that I have, so that me putting this into the world is an act of love, of true Philios, or Agape, or both, if I'm understanding them. The brotherly love, right, I believe is Philios, and Agape is just selfless care, rather than the Eros that we're so ingrained with, that we need to decondition ourselves from. So it's a process of moving through the stages of what love means, how I can express love myself, how I can embrace deeper meanings other than just the singular Western definition that is so revolving around the feminine, and to feel that there is this brotherhood, that we're all on this very we're all on this journey, whatever the journey means to us. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes terrible, and that we're here, and that we have solidarity no matter where we are in the world, no matter where we are at the stages of our lives. And that through this wonderful medium of the internet, it's a tool. It can be used for good or for ill, and we are using it for good. We are using it to save our fellow brothers, to inspire each other, to motivate each other, and to be, I believe, to be the true motivation. I had a chance to actually see this in person, and just to be at the Rodin Museum, and it's so inspiring. He's been an inspired figure for me. And all we really have to use in this world are our bodies and minds. That's the only thing we have control over, our bodies and our time. And when you bring it down to brass tacks, what we really have, how do our minds express themselves? It's through the works that we speak. In some cases, perhaps you're fortunate enough to be paid for only what you can speak, what you can generate into the world through your thoughts and words. But most of us, myself included, we need to touch it, make it, create it, form it. What are you doing with your hands? How are your hands and your mind connected? Are you getting the inspiration that you need, the motivation? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you resting? Are you eating well? Do you know what that means for you? How your diet and needs may be different than someone else? So we go from, and I'm praying and seeking to go from being outer directed and outer seeking, especially when it comes to desiring the prototypical feminine muse, to feeling my brother, by connection to the brotherhood, to the men of the world, and say the innocents, the children who don't know any different, and that still have, I mean, the women are innocent in their own way, but, well, I have much more empathy for men in terms of what we are forced to suffer, especially in this era where we're not being respected for our sacrifices like our grandfathers were. At least there was some authority that they had along with this responsibility, but we know about that. So I seek to continue to create, and I thank you for your time and attention if you're still here, and I appreciate your comments and your support. So take care, my brothers. Thank you for watching and being